When you get into the last quadrant, into level 5 leadership, hopefully you've got level 5 leaders living in the organization box. And hopefully you've got level 4 leaders in the product program process boxes with line managers and product managers and all the different managers that are in there. By the time you're to the team level box, hopefully you have competent managers who are able to be good Scrum Masters or team level facilitators. And so as you're looking at this comes from good to great. And a level 5 leader builds enduring greatness through a paradoxical blend of personal humility and professional will. It's almost like a iron will. And so that really is paradoxical. How do you be humble and at the same time maintain that professional will to get the things done? And so at level 5, you're transformational. You should be inspirational. It has everything to do with vision. And if you're going to transform the organization, you transform it through vision. And you have to communicate your vision for change 10 times more than you think you do. And so when you get to the Enterprise Agile coaching level, an Enterprise Agile coach had also better be a level 5 leader. And an Agile coach at least had better be a level 4 leader. Okay? Scrum Masters, level 3 is enough. And when you get into the traits of a level 5 executive, there's 12 of them. They're able to listen and empathize, they have high self-awareness, and they're able to persuade. Okay? Now, they have foresight, insight, and they can conceptualize, and they're able to do anticipatory vision, as we've shared earlier. In the core there, again, they've got the personal humility and the professional will, the proper balance of those two. A level 5 executive will also build community. They build protective environments, and they grow initiative, entrepreneurship, and learning. They create a culture of learning. Level 5 executives are also stewards. They have a healing mindset. You know, a lot of the Taylorism that we've had during the last 100+ years has been extremely damaging to people. It damages their morale, it damages their spirit, it damages the person at multiple levels. And so a true level 5 executive will recognize the damage that's been done by management and figure out how are we going to help heal this. And they have a desire to serve others. Okay. And so, it's really important that they have a servant leadership mindset. And, they put the teams and the individuals' needs ahead of their own. Now, that doesn't mean that they become a slave to the organization. They only have 40 to 80 hours a week themselves. By the way, if you're working 80 hours a week, not sustainable, it's going to kill you. So be real about that one as well. So as you're thinking about how can I support my teams, how can I build protected environments for them, how can I build the community that every team needs, just like what was described by those team members that went and did the retrospective with the executive, and he said, this is what I want. Okay, so as a level 5 executive, you need to be able to do these 12 things and maintain your personal humility and maintain your professional will to get everything done. Now, management on the left, that's more like doing. It's the tool set view because it looks at structure, processes, tools, and tactical implementations. It looks at the hard skills, the programs, the training, the task masters, the goals and objectives. It's all the language of management. The leadership side of the equation, that's mindset. It's mindset and culture. And how do we transform? How do we use vision and VSPT? It's all the soft skills, understanding how to eliminate and mitigate the politics. It's being able to coach and mentor, being able to be a servant leader like we just talked through on these last two slides. It's also being able to clearly articulate the why and the purpose of everything that we're doing. When we're not able to do that, and to be able to do it like on a moment's notice, because if you're in a town hall and one of the employees asks a question about Agile or about vision, you as the leader cannot hesitate 1 second in your response coming back. You need to be able to be powerful, but in a way that maintains your personal humility, but also maintains your professional will. Balancing those two correctly are, in my opinion, the key to having a powerful Agile at the leadership level. So remember that the languages spoken on the left-hand side and the right-hand side are very different from each other. And we have to find a way to communicate in both of these areas so that the vision doesn't get diluted or even lost. Teal thinking is something that has popped onto my radar screen in the last 2 or 3 years. Actually ran into it in a evening workshop led by Lisa Atkins in Stockholm, Sweden, a couple years ago. And I found it very interesting. And a couple of the things that really popped out in that conversation and workshop that Lisa facilitated was that in at the leadership level in organizations, a majority of the people are going to be what they call orange individuals. And I found that interesting because those types of individuals tend to be the lead follower, get out of the way type of people who are drivers. Now, she didn't really say the other two on amber and green as far as their preferences, but we'll get into that in the next slide. The other thing that really caught my attention was that Lisa reported back on their findings for the people who have done the research in the teal thinking area is that only, if I remember the percentages right, only 6 or 7% of the people are even capable of teal thinking. So that's why I put that in the individual box, and we'll share a little bit more of that in the next slide. Let's start in the organization corner, and this includes everybody who are working from portfolio up to directors, vice presidents, C-suite, and even the board. As I sort of shared in the last slide, the leaders in this box tend to be pragmatic, success-oriented, complex logic individuals who question authority, they thrive on getting ahead, and they value freedom and achievement. And three of their main values are innovation, accountability, and meritocracy. So this goes back to what I shared in the personalities, where it would be analogous to the driver, and in this case, driver, where it's the lead, follow, or get out of the way type of individual. In the amber corner, that's the product development, program management, process management, line management, everything like that lives in this box. And what I found with the amber individuals is that they matched this section, this description matched their profile amazingly well. These types of individuals have an awareness of social roles and following authority. They prefer absolute truth. It's either black or white. They can see other people's expectations, but they tend to be dogmatic. Oh my goodness, I've worked with so many program managers who have been very dogmatic and been there myself and have done the same thing. And they have a long-term perspective. And so these are things that they value, including consistent process, size, stability, and hierarchy. That long-term perspective, especially for program managers, gives them the ability to see over a multiple year horizon and be able to look at the product, service, or result that we're trying to deliver and put it into a 3-year program and figure out, hey, this is what we have to do all along the way in order to deliver that ultimate product, service, or result. And so they might sort it and organize it into projects, but these days more and more companies are moving from project to product development processes. And so I think in a 5 to 10 year horizon, we're going to be seeing a significant change in how products are developed. And I don't think project management will necessarily go away, but it's going to change dramatically as it starts to absorb the culture, values, and attitudes of the people who work with Agile methodologies, which is a really good segue into the team box. And in the team box, the color in this teal thinking is actually green. And when you start looking at the description of these individuals, they want fairness, community, equality of all perspectives. They desire justice for all, consensus, relationship over outcomes. And when you start hearing things like that, it reflects the Agile manifesto and the 12 principles included in the Agile manifesto. Their values include empowerment, a values-driven culture, a multi-stakeholder perspective, because the team knows that they have to satisfy the needs of just not the customer, but of all of the stakeholders that are involved in the development of the product, service, or result that they're trying to ultimately deliver. In the individual box, here's where I put teal. Because if you can only get 6 or 7% of the people that even have the ability to be teal thinkers, I thought, well, let's put that in the individual box because the other 3 boxes include individuals. Okay. Now, how we work with the other 3 boxes depends on if we're looking at it from the team perspective, the product perspective, or the organization perspective. So those are all lenses on the individual, and the other 3 areas are the 3 key areas in which they need to act and interact. Teal mirrors flow. Focus on inner integrity And that kind of individual sees systematically. Flow gives you a whole bunch of frameworks, models, and tool sets, plus the mindset that you'll need in order to successfully navigate all the politics and people that you're going to run into in the other three boxes. Okay? In order to be able to do this, and I sort of like this, you have to be able to disidentify with your own ego, and you need to be purpose driven. Simon Sinek would talk about, hey, what's your why? And then even Simon Sinek will say what is even more important than your why is the vision. Okay? Purpose gives you the what we would call in flow the higher purpose to which you're aligning everything that you do in your work. Okay? So there's even a book out there called The Purpose Driven Life or something like that. You could look that up if you want to get a view on people who are thinking in that direction. Radical authenticity sounds a lot like radical collaboration. In radical authenticity, that means, in my view, that you need to be brutally honest with yourself and to be brutally authentic with yourself and understand how to be able to take that and work with other people. When we're talking about inner rightness as a compass, right there you're going straight to the 4R model, where we start with right truth, from which you distill your right values and attitudes, from which you will do right actions and hopefully get the right results. That's what the 4R model is about. It's exactly about doing that. Now, wisdom beyond rationality, that is interesting in that if you have a really good team, usually the wisdom of the crowd is better than the wisdom of the individual because you'll get so many other perspectives, and it helps to have a lot of different eyes on what you're trying to achieve or how to solve the problem that you're facing. And when I'm looking at wisdom beyond rationality, if we look at it from a Judeo-Christian perspective, there's even an old proverb that says, do you want to be wiser than all your teachers? Study the law. And actually, if you look at law and how those are written, it's actually written as vision statements. Those are vision statements. So when you have a law that says, hey, we don't want people to murder each other, the inferred vision statement in that is, I want to live in a world that is murder free. I want to live in a world that is safe. Okay? My vision is to have a safe world. Okay? And so when you start getting into wisdom beyond rationality and what would take you beyond science and things like that, you need to be very careful to check the source and see what they're actually saying. Not all sources are equal. So, in summary, when I was looking at mapping teal thinking to the four lenses on transformation, if we understand that the majority of people that are in the organization box are probably going to be orange, and that a majority of the people that are working in the product program and process and line management box are going to be amber, and that at the team level, the green individuals are going to thrive there. I guess the goal would be to see how, if you could get teal individuals, because you're going to have 6 or 7 out of every 100. That doesn't mean you're going to have them on every team. But in the cases where you do, you're going to have an opportunity to get a lot more done because the focus will be on vision, mission, purpose, strategy, goals and objectives, and so on. And so it will create a different culture for each of those other three boxes whenever you can take a person who's teal and bring them onto the team. So it was an interesting presentation that Lisa gave, and I wanted people to understand that flow maps to all of these other types of methodologies.